Hello and welcome to the Clean Sheet podcast on the Distinct Sports Network. Just me and Connor today, but oh my word, there's so much to get through. We're recording this on the Wednesday night, so this is just after the Man City game. We're going to try and get this up as soon as possible because, of course, there's so much to dive into with that Man City versus Real Madrid game. Obviously, we'll get into some other stuff later, but the main focus of this episode is that all-time classic semi-final tie. Connor, I'm going to let you start because, oh my word, I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy.
Me and you both. You think of when Liverpool beat Barca. You think of when Spurs beat Ajax, when Roma beat Barca. These are great comebacks, but I don't think I've actually ever seen anything like that in my life. They were cruising City. It was 1-0. Real Madrid hadn't even had a shot on target, and the game was over. I was about to leave the room, and then bang, 1-1. I'm like, okay, straight away 2-1. I couldn't fathom what was going on. 2 goals right at the end of the game against a team like Man City. That does not happen. This Real Madrid team have got heart. And I said before I had City winning it, and if Real Madrid did beat City, I had Liverpool winning it. I've got Real Madrid winning it now. I think it's written in the stars then. The way they've just come back from adversity time and time and time again. I simply cannot believe what I just watched. I'm still in shock.
I know what you mean because there's only a few clubs, like it's the teams with heart, like underneath them, like Man City, PSG, a few others. They don't have that it that Liverpool, Real Madrid, Barcelona, those teams have. And it was so, as soon as that went to extra time, I'm not being funny, that was Real Madrid's game to lose. Like, they had all the momentum. Okay, they were at home, but Man City just don't have the it factor that you need to win a Champions League. And this is why, like, I picked Real. I didn't make much sense when I picked Real at first. I was just like, I don't know what it is, but it's just Man City just don't have that extra step. And man, I feel like really smart for coming out with that now.
I respect that. I respect it because I didn't think so at all.
But that's where I think Liverpool might like be able to match Real with that, because they're obviously Liverpool, United, Barca. They have that history that okay, they can't lean on it, but luck just seems to favour them. I don't know what it is, but they've just got an extra step, and I think Liverpool will be able to match Real Madrid. And then if you're just talking on pure talent, I mean, Man City just dominated those 2 legs. And this is why I want to blame Pep, but I can't put all the blame on Pep. He laid out 2 perfect game plans and they just choked. Okay, that's an element of the choking has to go down to him. But man, he laid out 2 perfectly good game plans and his players just did not execute.
Mate, honestly, I mean, you say you don't blame Pep. Obviously, it's not all his fault. There's players on the pitch for a reason. I think it was so questionable taking off De Bruyne when it was 1-0 though. Very questionable. I know he got unlucky with the Walker injury. He risked it. And if Walker played that whole game, that wouldn't have happened for a fact. That first goal came down the left. Walker had that side of the pitch on lock. That would 100% would not happen with Kyle Walker there. But he wasn't there, and it did happen. The thing is with Pep, I'll say this, and then I'll almost as a question to you as well. If Man City don't win the Premier League, why wouldn't he get sacked? I've seen managers get sacked for way less than that. He was brought in many years ago now to win the Champions League, and year in, year out, he and Man City have choked. Yep. I've seen managers get sacked for less than this. Klopp's proven that he is a better manager than Pep. I think he might get sacked if they don't win the league. How about you?
I think the only thing saving Pep is his history and his like accolades. Like, just because it's if this was, I don't know, Antonio Conte, I think he'd be gone. But it's just because it's the name, it's Pep. Oh, he did this with Barca. He's done this with Bayern. He's been successful everywhere. Yeah, but he hasn't done what he came to do, as you said. And we could get into the Klopp and Pep debate, but I don't think we're going to argue with it. Like, I think that Klopp would not have let his team do that. Like you saw Liverpool. We'll get into Liverpool in a bit, but they responded when they faced adversity yesterday. Man City did not. Man City didn't even really have a chance once Real Madrid got their first goal.
Absolutely different.
So man, there's a mentality problem there. Like, okay, Man City probably play the best football in the world, probably the most dominant team in the world. But if you can't get the pivotal results, it's curtains. It's curtains. And I was saying, once this went to extra time, Man City, this would either be like swim or sink for their whole season. I think it was all or nothing in this scenario, because now they've got a load of injuries that are the problems now, and they're like in their heads they're just going to be doubting themselves at every single corner. Like not corner, you meant like, you know how I meant, like at every turn they're going to be doubting themselves. I wouldn't be surprised if they slip up at the weekend. Okay, they're home against Newcastle, they'll probably just dominate the game, but like I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with nothing to show for this season come like the end of May, because that is as bad as it gets. Like that was a capitulation, and major capitulation.
I've not, I exactly what you said. I've never seen anything like it. And obviously, we're talking about the whole Klopp Pep thing. You saw what obviously Liverpool were awful in the first half yesterday. A good manager gives good team talk. Pep had a chance to give a team talk after the game. He had his chance. Clearly, 5 minutes into extra time, Real Madrid score. I don't know. You do think if that was Liverpool regroup and they probably grab a goal in extra time.
Yeah. I mean, like it's getting to the stage where it's not even a debate with me. When push comes to shove, Klopp just has those moments to show for it. And if he gets like even one out of the Premier League and the Champions League at the end of this year, I don't think you could debate it. I like half of me, I wanted to see Real Madrid in the final. Firstly, because like they've been on this amazing run in the Champions League, and they sort of deserve, once they won that game, they deserved that. I don't care if they got dominated. Yeah. They deserved that. They showed heart. But also, I wanted to face Real because I know you don't agree with me, but I think they're an easier side to face for Liverpool. And like I say that because Liverpool just have big game problems against City. And I think after last time that Liverpool lost to Real Madrid, there's no Ronaldo now. Bale's maybe not as good as he used to be. I know Benzema, Vinicius Jr. have sort of elevated, but that I don't know if it's the same team that got 3 Champions Leagues in a row. Maybe they have more heart and whatever. Their midfield's a bit older as well. But I am happy that Liverpool are playing Real in the final. I'd like to hear why you think Real would be a tougher opponent than City.
A bit the same reason you thought Real Madrid would beat Man City. I don't know. I thought, because I was convinced City were going to win the Champions League even before it started, especially before going into today. I was convinced they beat Real Madrid, and then I was convinced they beat Liverpool. But Real Madrid, every single time it looks like they're done. PSG, it looked like they were done. Bang, goal. Chelsea, it looked like they bottled it. Bang, bang, 2 goals. Tonight, you'd be hard to bet. The only run that comes to mind that is similar to this, where they just don't die no matter what, was Chelsea's 2012 run. I know, and that was a much worse team as well, that Chelsea team. I don't know, this Real Madrid team. And then you think about leading up to the final anyway, Liverpool have got a huge title race to think about and an FA Cup final. Real Madrid, the Champions League final, that's
they don't have to play for anything, yeah. They've won their league. They've got
one game to think about, and trust me, I really have a strong feeling Real Madrid win, and I hope I'm right.
Oh man, like that's the day before my birthday. I don't want it to ruin my birthday weekend, man. I mean, that's going to be great. One thing I want to get into, and we've mentioned this before, and only people in the UK are going to hear this, but I think the BT Sport commentators are absolutely disgraceful. I know, okay, you can have a slight bias to City, I don't care, but it's an absolute disgrace. It's a joke. If like what a Man City player will roll 3 times on the ground and they'll say, oh, what's that challenge for? When the Real Madrid player wouldn't even touch him. If the Real Madrid player does the exact same, they say that's disgusting. You should stop this. And I mean, come on, it's just embarrassing. This is why Sky will always be so far ahead of BT because of their commentators. And there's like good commentators out there that BT could go and get. You think, what's his name? Alan McAnally and Peter Drury. Like Peter Drury is like one of the best commentators. I don't think he's signed to Sky, and he might do like the odd BT game. Go and get him to do the big Champions League games. He will make them so much better.
Yeah, these TV companies need to understand how big a part the commentary actually is. I'm watching the game today. I mean, I'm in extra time. I just feel like muting the TV. It's just annoying. It's not even like, because when Man United play on BT Sport, it's very similar, and it really gets on my nerves because they're defending every little thing we do when we're not even doing the right things. It can get really, really annoying. And tonight Manuel might be the worst commentator.
He is the worst. He is the
history of football. He is abysmal. And I used to think, oh, he just really loves Liverpool. No, he is just an awful commentator. Any English team,
he loves English teams.
Yeah. He will leech on it. He looked like he was about to cry in the post-game interview. He went all red, voice started cracking. Honestly, when you say that, you are right about those commentators.
I don't get it as well, because it's your former side, Real Madrid, against like your other former side's favorite team, rival team. I didn't get it. I guess maybe he's like, oh, English football's the best. We want to see Liverpool versus Man City in the final. But why are you trying to just everyone? We know Man City, like as a football side, are better than Real Madrid. You don't need to like try and sway our opinions. Just commentate on the football game and do it unbiased. It's embarrassing. It's just like Sky are almost the other way, where they're like, you think Gary Neville, he rips into Man United players more than any other team. Maybe Arsenal, he bashes a lot. He used to bash Arsenal a lot. But like, he's so quick to praise the other teams. Okay, maybe we don't see him when he does a European game, but I don't know. I just think BT need to sort it out. And I think the outrage, because I've seen a lot going around on Twitter, mainly on Twitter, but I think they will have seen the outrage, and they're going to have a word with these commentators and co-commentators. The guys on the ground who are like Rio Ferdinand isn't great. Who is it? Joleon Lescott as well. I mean, they weren't great, but they weren't as bad as the guys doing the commentary. So yeah, I'm sure they'll have a word at the end of the season. But I mean, I don't even want to listen to the Champions League final. It's going to be horrible. I don't. We haven't really spoke about Real Madrid. We spoke a lot about City. We haven't spoke about Real Madrid. Like, Vinicius Junior was great. Benzema didn't even have a particularly good game. But the guy who came on, who's like just not come out of nowhere, but Rodrigo has just come on and scored these like important goals at late stages. Did it against Chelsea? Now scored those two massive goals. I mean, it's crazy. Like wingers of Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo, like what are they, 20, 19? They're not old. So they're probably the future of Real Madrid at this stage. Like, they've got a bright future, let's be honest. Like, I don't know if you want to chime in on Real's performance.
No, what you said about the future being bright is definitely true. And what you said about Benzema not having a good game is definitely true, because he actually didn't, and yet he still manages to bag a goal and an assist. It's just such a weird team, because they do look dangerous when they go forward pretty much when they scored and then they scored again. Then they almost scored again. Rodrigo almost got a hat-trick before it was even over. And it's just like, they can just turn it on like that. Against Chelsea, you saw it. Nothing all game, 3-0 down. Bang, bang. Like, it's such an odd team to play against. And I don't know if it's hard. I don't know if they just have the belief that it's all going to be okay in the end. Because then even their subs come on. Camavinga was unbelievable today. It was quality off the bench. Danny Ceballos was an Arsenal region. He came on and he did a job. Vallejo came on for the last 5 and he won about 7 aerial battles straight away. They've got strength in depth, this team. And they're not Spanish champions for no reason. And people talk about Liverpool being the mentality monsters now. One thing I will say, I think that final is going to be the perfect ending to one of the best Champions League seasons I've ever watched.
Yeah, I mean, certainly like that Real Madrid side of the bracket. I mean, I don't. Well, even like you think of the Villarreal results against Bayern and Juventus. The only like particularly unentertaining side has been Liverpool just strolling to the not strolling because we'll get into the Villarreal game in a moment. But I mean, in that final, I know what you're saying about Real Madrid, and I'm sure that 2018 final against Real will be in the back of Liverpool and Klopp's mind. But I can't pick against my team in the Champions League final, especially when they'll be the favourites. I mean, it's good.
I'm saying, wouldn't it just be comedy gold if Liverpool lost that final? Chelsea did them in the FA Cup and City win the league. All this quadruple talk, all they get is the fucking Carabao Cup. That would be one of the greatest things. I think that'll probably be the greatest thing in football history.
I think it'll be the exact opposite because I think Man City are going to choke. I think Liverpool have just got so much momentum now. Like they came out flat, really flat in that first half, and then just flicked a switch. I don't know whether it was Villarreal playing a part as well, but we'll get into that in a moment. I'm just on the final. We'll just do a little score prediction. I'm gonna go 3-1 Liverpool, but in extra time. I think Liverpool will get 2 late goals.
Oh man. Thing is, you've seen in the past when Liverpool played Spurs in that final, it was an incredible like Champions League, and the final was just so disappointing.
Yeah.
I don't think this will be like that. I'm gonna go for fireworks. I'm gonna go for 3-2 Real Madrid after normal time.
Really? Well, a late goal, or Liverpool get one back at the end, or
we'll go 1-0 Liverpool, 1-1, 2-1 Real Madrid, 2-2. 75th minute, Karim Benzema, 3-2.
I really hope not. But talking about Liverpool, that game last night, pretty entertaining. I didn't think it'd be as entertaining as that, but it was. I want to talk about Villarreal first because they got a ton of like people were slagging them off in the media, which I thought was so unfair because you've heard this statistic all the time. They got a lower wage bill than Burnley. Like they're just not like a big club. What do you expect them to do in a Champions League semi-final when they've got they're away at Anfield? They're trying to concede as fewer goals as possible. Like you can't expect them to go toe to toe with Liverpool. And okay, they did when in that first half against Liverpool, but I think that was almost because Liverpool stepped off the gas a bit. Yeah. Like to be honest, they just weren't at the races. They couldn't string 2 or 3 passes together. But altogether, I think Villarreal for that first half deserves so much credit. In the second, I do think Emery said, okay, we've got 2-2, let's try and hang on. And then Liverpool just, as well as that, I'm sure Klopp like went for all of their heads in the dressing room, which is probably the difference, as you said, between Klopp and Pep. But I don't know, your impressions on that Liverpool second leg.
Yeah, that's, as you just said, that halftime team talk is what separates Klopp from Emery, a great manager from a very good manager. So obviously Emery in the first leg, as you said, what do you expect? It's at Anfield. Anfield's an absolute fortress of Liverpool. It's Villarreal. 2-0 was probably 2-0 proved to be a decent result because they did give themselves a chance in the second leg. They tied it at one point. You saw Jason Cundy on Talk Sports saying it's a disgrace to football. Just grow up. Like watch the game, understand the game a little bit before you say something stupid like that. And then obviously Klopp drills them, and then the second half, Mane's firing. Luis Diaz is just an incredible player, and then Van Dijk and Konate looked like Van Dijk and Konate in the second half. The Villarreal didn't really have anything in that second half. You knew what was going to happen. As soon as Liverpool got their first, you knew that it was going to go on to get 2 and then 3. But no, Villarreal have got nothing, absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. Obviously, they're fans, that they all know that.
Yeah.
But the better team obviously won. And let's just hope Real Madrid put a stop to it. I don't have much to say about the Liverpool game because Villa, as good as Villarreal's first half comeback was, it was very short-lived in the end.
Well, you mentioned a name, and I want to get into sort of a topic. I saw Sport Bible posted something on it. So you mentioned Luis Diaz. I saw something that was it said the best January signing of all time, and I like Luis Diaz, but it's just categorically not true. Like it's just not. I mean, first of all, okay, it's you can't measure everything on goals and assists, but Kulusevski in that sense has had a better start to the year. I think he's on like 3 goals and 8 assists, like the most in 2022 or something. But even then, just think about Liverpool. Liverpool signed Luis Suarez in the January transfer window. I mean, I like Luis Diaz. I'm not going for him here, but he's not Luis Suarez. I don't think he will be Luis Suarez.
No.
Like he's Luis Diaz has been electric, and I think he'll start in the FA Cup final and the Champions League final. But I mean, we need to like slow down sometimes. Like everyone's quick to pull out, this is the best ever, this is the best ever. Just need to like calm it down sometimes. It's just a bit too much like recency bias. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, yeah, exactly. Recency. Luis Suarez, probably the 3rd best player I've ever seen play football. And yeah, you say even like players like Bruno. I know he's awful now, but he came in January and he had an outstanding first season, obviously the second half. And obviously any day right now, I'd take Luis Diaz over Bruno. I'd take anyone over Bruno right now. But no, yeah, recency bias is a huge thing in football. People are so quick to jump on everything. Just like relax, let them play a little bit, let them have their career. Another thing I don't like about modern day kind of football in general is from the media is they'll say, "Oh my God, look at blank. He is the next Messi. He is the next Ronaldo." Just let him be the next him. Every football player is unique. No two are the same. Just let footballers be them. They don't have a chance to make a name for themselves. People say, "Oh, Harry Kane's the next Alan Shearer." No, Harry Kane and Alan Shearer played completely differently. Just because they both bagged, it doesn't mean that Harry Kane's the next Alan Shearer. They're both unique. They're both. He's Alan Shearer. He's Harry Kane. I don't like when the media do that. In basketball as well, we see it all the time. That's why I just hate it when that happens. Just let players be them.
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to get pretty much an identical player. Like it's just not going to happen. Alan Shearer just didn't get the same number of assists and make the passes that Harry Kane did. I mean, as you said, they're completely different. But maybe if we move on to the Premier League, since we just touched on it a little bit, we've spoke about Man City and Liverpool, so let's talk about them in the context of the title race. Do you think that result with Real affects Man City's chances in the Premier League now?
Quite the opposite. I'm not going to lie. I know we talk about mentality and stuff like that, but now Man City, all their eggs are in the basket of the Premier League. That's all they're going to think about. Liverpool have got 2 huge finals to think about, as well as the Premier League now. And don't get me wrong, I still don't think Liverpool are going to drop any points between now and the end of the season. But it makes their game, you think of their game against Tottenham now. Tottenham, all their bags are in the Premier League. They're gunning for top 4. They want top 4. And Liverpool have got, in the back of some of those players' minds, no matter how strong mentality they are, they're going to be thinking, we've got an FA Cup final. We've got a Champions League final to play. That's going to play on their minds a little bit. And for the Man City players, if they've got anything about them, they'll want vengeance. They'll be like, no, because at the end of the day, like Man City still have had an incredible season. They're going to want something to show for it. Like they're not going to want to leave empty-handed because, being honest, they don't deserve to leave empty-handed, to be honest. But no, I think quite the opposite. I think the fact that Liverpool are in all these finals, City just have to concentrate on the league. I see both teams winning every game between now and the end of the season. Maybe Liverpool draw to Spurs.
I'm just holding out for that Wolves away game for Man City. I think that's the one that's the one game, because I've mentioned this numerous times recently. They've had problems against Wolves in the past. It is not an easy place to go, and Connor Cody, like rise up, get ahead. I mean, I'd love it. Of course, I'd love it. But the big game this weekend, well, one of the big games. Liverpool Spurs on Saturday night. Big implications for the top of the table and the top 4. I think it'll be pretty easy for Liverpool, just the way that they're playing right now. And Spurs don't inspire me with confidence, just because they're so like up and down. They could put in a 10 out of 10 performance, and then they could put in like a 5. And I just, it's they they could win, or they could win, or they could lose, but they could blow Liverpool out the water, or they could just get smashed. And I think they will get smashed. I think it'll be like 3-1 or 4-1. I don't, the way I said, the way that Liverpool are playing, that they're the mentality monsters at the time. And you mentioned, oh, they'll be looking at the FA Cup, they'll be looking at the Champions League. I don't think they'll be allowed. I think any hint of weakness, Liverpool have the squad now where, say if Keita's not fully focused on the game ahead, Henderson will come in the side. If, I don't know, Diaz is like, looking, oh, we're going to Wembley next week, Jota will come in the side. There's so many different options for Liverpool now. I just can't see past them beating Spurs this weekend. You mentioned that you think it might be a draw.
Maybe that's just more hope than anything, but I just think like it really just hinges on Kane, Son, and Kulusevski, the way they play. Because at the end of the day, if they are on it, I don't care how good Liverpool's defense is that's front three is going to cause anyone problems. And obviously, Spurs have got a lot to play for. That's why this Premier League season has been so good. Obviously, it's been a stinker for us, but if we just put us aside, you got the title battle, a top 4 battle, and a relegation battle this close to the end of the season. That never usually happens, especially in recent history. So no, yeah, it's really exciting. But if I'm being really true to myself, I'm gonna go with the Liverpool win. And I'm going to go with Liverpool to win every other game this season, but I'm going to go with City to win every other game this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a guessing game at this stage. You would on each individual game, you wouldn't expect them to lose each game. So, like in that sense, I guess you could probably say they are gonna drop points somewhere. But then, if you look at big picture, just one game where they slip up, maybe. Yeah. So if Spurs went on and let's say for argument's sake that they lost this game, that would leave them. So and then Arsenal win. I think that would put them 5 ahead. Yeah. And you've mentioned before there's still the North London derby to play. If it is 5 points by the end of this weekend, do you think Tottenham have any chance of getting the top 4?
It's very hard to say because obviously Arsenal and Spurs still have to play each other. So Spurs could easily win that. Then it's 2 points. And then you're looking at Arsenal's other games. Their running isn't that easy. They've got to play Leeds and Everton, who are both fighting for their lives. And I know that they're not very good, but when you're playing a team fighting for their lives at this stage in the season, you saw Everton. Everton are really playing with heart all of a sudden. And that'll be on the last game. I doubt Everton will be safe come the last game of the season. So no, I think it would be very hard if Spurs lost this weekend. I think they have to do everything, even to try and get a point on the board. If they could get a win, that'd be fantastic. But one thing about the top 4 races, even though very unlikely that it's going to happen, Chelsea need to start picking up some points, because they're not out of this. If they I think they got Wolves this weekend. That's not easy. And if they lose that, because they're on awful form, if they lose that, and let's say Spurs and Arsenal did win, Arsenal will be on the same points as them, and Spurs will be 2 points behind them. And then you look at Chelsea's other game, they got Leicester, who we all know aren't easy, Leeds, who are fighting for their lives. And then the other winnable game that they have is Watford, who would probably already be down by then. Chelsea need to start picking up some points. But if I was to make the prediction, I'd say Chelsea would come 3rd, Arsenal would come 4th, and Spurs would come 5th. And a lot of that does hinge on Spurs probably losing to Liverpool this weekend.
Yeah, so I think Chelsea recently just took their foot off the gas a little bit. Just thought, oh no, we'll be fine. We're sort of stuck in 3rd. Like they did a bit of rotation against Everton, didn't they? I'm trying to think. I know Loftus-Cheek played a few times, but he was out there. Oh, there was a couple of other guys. I can't remember, but yeah, I mean, I think they'll start sort of taking it seriously, get 1 or 2 wins on the board, and then they should be all right. You presume. I agree. I don't see Arsenal slipping up here. we've said, oh, Tottenham still got a chance to pick up points when they play Arsenal. There's every chance that Arsenal could go and win that game. Like
Yeah.
Arsenal have deserved to be where they are this season.
Yeah.
To be fair to them, but they went through a tricky patch a few weeks ago, and they seem to have come out of it. Like that result against West Ham was huge. Like, to be honest, I know West Ham have got other sort of priorities right now, but either way, going to play a London rival at this stage in the season, so it's not going to be easy. Okay, so on to the relegation battle, something that like maybe a few weeks ago we thought was done and dusted, but man, Burnley have just come back since Sean Dyche has been sacked, and it's looking very interesting. I caught that Burnley game against Watford. I mean, they just didn't look that good, and then they just got these two late goals,
Mm.
and it was just crazy. They did not look like they were going to get anything. Well, maybe they looked like they were going to get a point, but they didn't really look like they were going to win that game. But they did, and like we've spoken a lot about mentality earlier today, and Burnley seem to just have that mentality at the moment. I don't know how you feel, but do you think Burnley could be the ones to stay up?
I think Burnley and Everton are showing heart right now. And if I'm a Leeds fan, I'm very, very, very worried because at the minute I've got them going down. Leeds have got to play against Arsenal, who are fighting for top four, Chelsea, who are fighting for top four, and then they got Brentford and Brighton both away, I'm pretty sure. They are not easy games. Brighton are a very good footballing side, and Brentford are a very, very tricky side. You're looking at those games, and then, okay, you look at, okay, who are the other two got? Everton have got their game in hands against Watford. Watford probably already be down by then. That's a must win, and if they play the way they've been playing, they will win it. They've got a Leicester whose main focus is, especially if they win tomorrow, is the Conference League, and then they got Brentford, Palace, and Arsenal. And now you look at Brentford and Palace; they're two teams with not much to play for. Brentford are a decent team, Palace are a decent team, but you look at them two and you think, okay, they'll probably lose to Arsenal. And then Burnley have got to play Villa twice. That's huge. Burnley have got to play Villa twice. They get 6 points or even 4 points from those two games. I don't see Burnley anywhere near the drop zone by the end of the season. They've got that new manager bounce, and it's clear sacking Dyche has clearly worked. You can only say it's clearly worked at the end of the season, I guess. But it seems to have worked. No, if I'm a Leeds fan, I'm shitting it because I think they're going down.
Yeah, I mean, Burnley probably have like the two fixtures against Villa. Villa are probably the worst side that has nothing to play for at the moment. Yeah. Like, so that's the money fixture right now. Okay, maybe Norwich as well. A couple teams might have Norwich. I can't remember. But yeah, Burnley have certainly got the easiest fixtures left. So I agree with you. I don't know how Leeds have found themselves in this scenario because it was just like 12th to like 15th all year, and like these last Marsh has done a decent job, but I mean, like you look at the goal difference as well. Yeah, that could be huge come the end of the season.
Leeds' defense is awful.
Like they didn't even play badly against Manchester City. They got slapped 4-0. Like okay, that's Man City, but like they can't concede that many goals each game and still expect to stay up.
And the thing is, I think if Leeds do go down, they're not going to come back anytime soon. I don't think. I think they lose Phillips. I think they lose Rafinha.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to get stuck in the Championship for a while. I think it could even get worse before it gets better, like it did before. Getting relegated for Leeds is very, very bad because you think if Everton go down, they'll probably bounce straight back. Burnley go down, they'll probably be in and around the playoffs. With Leeds, they could be in big, big trouble if they go down. Big trouble.
I would actually disagree. The Burnley board have shown like a distinct, like they just don't want to spend pretty much. Leeds they've spent a little more, and like you look at the actual squads of players. The Leeds squad is stronger than that Burnley squad. That Burnley squad looks a little bit like a Championship level squad.
100%.
Like some of their guys that are in, the left back, I forget his name, Charlie Taylor. I mean, he's a Championship level. He's not a Premier League level player. The right back, Roberts. Is it
Yeah.
Robert?
Luton and Roberts both play there.
Yeah, and these guys just aren't Premier League quality. So if they went down to the Championship, it's not like a Fulham where they've got loads of these
Yeah.
like good guy who you just know are going to bounce back. Even Norwich, they've got like quality, and Watford have got like Dennis, Sarr. I know Sarr will probably leave at the end of the year, but they just seem to have more actual just distinct quality in their squad. And sometimes I think the actual good team, like the good teams, like the teams with a good sum of their parts, don't do as well in the Championship compared to the Premier League. Like if Brentford were to go back down, I don't know if they'd stay back up. I know they've got a couple guys that they've brought in, but I I think quality in the Championship helps so much more than at the bottom of the Premier League. I don't know if maybe that's a rash take, but you look at the teams that are bouncing between Norwich and Fulham, they're the teams with probably more quality than the teams at the bottom of the Premier League, I think, but they just don't play as well as a team. I don't know how you feel about that.
I can see what you're saying, but that Burnley team, unlike the Norwich team and unlike the Fulham team, they've proven they can. I get what you mean. They're not a Premier League squad, don't get me wrong, but they've proven that they can compete at the Premier League level consistency for years. And the difference between Burnley going down and Leeds going down, if Leeds go down, Leeds lose their star players. If Burnley go down, I don't think anyone really, who's really gunning for these Burnley players. You might see, I don't even think Tarkowski's going to get sold anymore. Maxwell Cornet will probably get sold. Weghorst maybe.
And Brownhill probably.
Yeah, but the main core of that team is sticking together, and I don't know. I think it'll be similar. If Burnley went down, it'll be similar to Bournemouth. Maybe get in the playoffs, maybe miss out, and then boom, they're back. Whereas if Leeds go down, I think Leeds are in trouble if they go down.
So do we both have Leeds to go down then?
I've got Leeds down.
Yeah. Okay. So say Leeds went down to the Championship. Let's look at the teams who are maybe coming up from the Championship. Interesting to say the least. Forest and Bournemouth had a big game last night. I had sort of one eye on that whilst Liverpool were playing. Luckily, it was like an hour earlier or so, so you could catch the first half and a little bit of the end. So Bournemouth did get the result in that. It was a pretty late goal, wasn't it? So they're going to be going up with Fulham. Do you think Bournemouth will be able to compete next year?
Oh, the thing is with Bournemouth, they still have a lot of players that were there when they were in the Premier League, and obviously Bournemouth, not too unlike Burnley, stayed up in the Premier League for quite a while before they went down. I think they've got Premier League quality players, and I think I genuinely think Scott Parker is a Premier League quality manager. I think at Fulham he did a decent job in the Premier League, but obviously he went down in the end. But I think they came 18th and they fought till the end. I think with this Bournemouth team, they've just got that tiny bit more Premier League. They know how to do it in the Premier League. So I genuinely would think that Bournemouth have a better chance at staying up than Fulham. I think Bournemouth will be all right. One thing I will say about yesterday's game against Forest is, and one thing just in general, Premier League fans think that Premier League refs and VAR is bad. But if you support an EFL team, because I watch the EFL all the time, these officials are awful. They make the wrong decision week in, week out, and there's no VAR to save them either. That in yesterday's game, Forest, they should have had a penalty. He was onside. He went down. They gave it offside.
Yeah.
2 games ago in the Forest game, they scored another goal that was onside, and also a penalty was given to Luton in that game that wasn't a penalty. Stuff like that. Forest could be looking at the Premier League right now. It could be very different if it wasn't for the EFL officials. You could say it balances out in the end, but I don't know, man. Without VAR, these EFL officials are really, really struggling. They drop some stinkers every single week.
No, you're right, and I mean, I guess there's a reason why they're in the Championship, why they're reffing in the Championship rather than the Premier League. Let's build out our playoffs. So, I'm guessing we're gonna have Forest third. I know Huddersfield could maybe jump up, but let's for argument's sake say Forest third. Then Huddersfield. Then you've got like the three or four teams gunning for 2 spots. Do you think it's going to be Sheffield United and Luton, Sheffield United, Middlesbrough, who, or even Millwall could sneak in there?
Yeah. That's the thing with Millwall as well. Luton losing 7-0 the other day opened the door right up for Millwall, because now that goal difference, Millwall need to win, Luton need to lose, and Sheffield United need to lose. And you look at the games, Sheffield United have got to play Fulham on the last game of the season. That I really do see Fulham winning that. Fulham are a class above everyone in that league, promoted champions or not. I think Fulham win that game. And then you look at Luton. Luton are playing Reading. Reading are just above the relegation zone. They're safe. They're not playing for anything. I think Luton are going to win that game. So I'll have Luton in 5th. And then you look at Millwall versus Bournemouth. That's a complete wild card. I'm probably going to go for Bournemouth there to win that. So let's just count. It's a 4-horse race, don't get me wrong, but let's count Millwall out. It's got a very tough game. And then you got Middlesbrough versus Preston away. It's in Preston. But I genuinely think Sheffield United lose and Middlesbrough win, and Middlesbrough sneak that 6th spot. I said it a few weeks ago, having Middlesbrough 6th. I think Middlesbrough are going to come 6th. And then do I have them doing anything in the playoffs against Nottingham Forest? No. But as far as the playoffs go, anything can happen in them. I've got Middlesbrough getting that last playoff spot.
Well, I'd have to disagree. I think Sheffield United might get something against Fulham, maybe a point. But even if they don't, it's not the end of the world. They're going to need a lot to go against them, because Luton are like below them as well now because of the goal difference. So they're sat in 5th. Let's say they lose. Oh man, it's hard. They could bottle it. But the Preston away is not like,
it's not easy.
You in the Championship. I think home advantage is so like, I don't know why it feels so much bigger, because you think if you have Preston at home, so you'll get that, like you'll win that game. But Preston away, it's just completely turns the tables. I think Middlesbrough will struggle to pick up points there. I would love to see Millwall sneak in as well, but away to Bournemouth, that's probably as tough as it gets in the league. So I will go for Luton. Well, Luton in 5th, Sheffield United in 6th, which is probably not the consensus pick. I'd say Middlesbrough are probably favourites to go through at this stage. So let's go with your bracket. Let's say Middlesbrough get 6th, Luton get 5th. Who's it in 4th? Huddersfield, and then Forest in 3rd. Who do you think we'll just say it all together? Who do you think will win the playoffs out of those guys?
Forest and Huddersfield will be in the final, and I said it a few weeks ago. I just don't think Forest. I don't know what it is about Forest, man. They've got an incredible manager in Steve Cooper, but he's been there in the playoff final, and he's bottled it. And that Huddersfield team, that Huddersfield team don't care. They want the smoke. Huddersfield don't. They just don't care. I'm gonna say Huddersfield are going up in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the bold prediction, isn't it? Because Nottingham Forest have been so good since Steve Cooper came in. I think it was like, I can't remember the stat, but it was like they've won like 20 odd games out of the 30 odd since he came in. So I mean, they've been on fire, and I mean, I saw them like in the first game of the season, and they were appalling. They were so bad, and to see them now like where they are, and they could have easily got 2nd place. Well, not easily. They had to go to Bournemouth, but you know what I mean. They could have won that game, and like Forest in the Prem. It's been a while. It has been a while.
I change the question. Who would you want to go up?
Oh, I don't want Forest to go. I don't love. I'd rather Huddersfield go. Actually, no. I'd rather Luton go up.
I'd rather Luton. Everyone wants Luton to go up, man.
Yeah, but I don't think they've got the quality, unfortunately.
Yeah. If I can go to away games next season, I want to be in that away. You know, the Garden.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Kenilworth Road. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's like that. That's as like British as a football gets.
It really
a football ground gets. Let's move on to League One, because the bottom of the Championship's all sorted. You like Liverpool were playing at the time, like the League One like final day was all going on, so I couldn't watch it live. So I'll let you like go through what happens, what you think will happen. I've written a few notes of what I've seen over the year, so and like my predictions. But I'll let you take the lead with this.
Okay. Yeah, I watched the final day, and it was full of twists and turns. That's why I do love the Football League. League Two on the weekend also is going to be crazy, but we'll forget about that. League One, obviously, I'm very happy for Wigan. I think Wigan could genuinely give it maybe 3, 4, 5 years. We could be looking at Wigan back in the Prem. I'm really happy that they're back in the Championship because I really, really like Wigan. And Rotherham just continue this yo-yo that they're in. They are the biggest people talk about Fulham and Norwich. There's no bigger yo-yo club in the 92 than Rotherham. It's unbelievable. Because they'll probably go down again next season.
Yeah.
But no, then obviously you saw Plymouth missing out on the playoffs. That was really hard to watch because they just capitulated at home to MK Dons. And you saw Wycombe sneak in at their expense. But no, everyone's thinking that this is surely the year Sunderland go up through the playoffs because they've just been there for so long. But I just don't have it. I just don't have it that way. I think they're going to lose to Sheffield Wednesday in the semis. And I think we're looking at an MK Dons Sheffield Wednesday final. And the way MK Dons dismantled Plymouth, I'm going to go with an MK Dons promotion to the Championship.
Well, you don't see it for Sunderland. I'm quite the opposite. I actually think they'll get it done. Maybe that's me being a little bit uneducated on League One since, because I'll be honest, I haven't kept like super up to date on League One since Cov left.
Yeah,
and that's maybe me just picking the arguably the biggest side like in the playoffs. But I was looking at their like their squad, their quality. They've got probably the most quality in the league in terms of their squad. Yeah, I had it a Sunderland versus Wycombe final, and I know you said about MK Dons had a good finish to the season, but Wycombe also had a good finish to the season. Did they win like 4 of their last 5 and they drew the other one, something like that? But I wanted to get on Plymouth as well. That's one of the biggest chokes, like their form to end the season, as well as the 5-0. That really didn't even matter for MK Dons in the end. Like, it's just so hard to watch. They didn't win in their last 5. I think they lost 4 of them. And to choke, that is an ultimate choke. So Wycombe stole 6th, really. I think they'll get to the playoff final, but I do think Sunderland will win. Say we're looking at the bottom of the league, which was fairly interesting. I saw there was a weird goal, wasn't there, in the Bolton?
Oh man!
I don't. You could get into that in a moment, but Wimbledon tried their best to stay up, like 4-3. They were 3-0 down, weren't they? Then they fought back. Well, sort of fought back, but Fleetwood ended up staying up. I don't know if you want to talk about the relegation battle as well.
It's just that goal was hilarious. Imagine that goal that ended up sending Fleetwood down because they were saying their hearts out away to Bolton. But no, Gillingham went down, and you saw, I don't know if you saw the Gillingham manager after the game.
Yeah.
His interview after the game was hilarious. That's why I love EFL managers. You won't get that shit in the Prem. These EFL managers don't care. He's like, he's shit. I want him out. Fair play. But no, Gillingham obviously went down. It was a tough ask for them playing Rotherham on the last game of the season. One thing I will say about just the teams outside the Premier League in general, for the first time probably ever next season, we are looking at a very real possibility of League One just having so many. League One will have bigger teams than the Championship. You look at the teams that will be in League One next season or potentially in League One, but Derby, Sunderland, Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday, Bolton, Charlton, Portsmouth, Plymouth. These are huge teams. And then you look at the kind of tin pots that could potentially be in the Championship. Say, I said MK Dons could go, and you already got Luton up there. You already got Rotherham up there. It's actually incredible that it's testament to how well or how much competition there is in the Championship, League One and League Two right now. Because League One next season will have bigger teams than the Championship.
I mean, I think it's harsh to call them tin pots. Isn't tin pot more like a Man City, like just like like a bit of a fraud of a club almost?
Yeah, I guess.
But they just in general, like the smaller clubs, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like they've got less fans. but no, you're completely right. But I just maybe we're just thinking like there's still going to be. Imagine Everton's in the Championship next year. Leeds, we think, will be in the Championship. That's still a huge,
big clubs,
huge teams, and maybe sometimes we just think, oh, it's just like Coventry is still a big club. You just think, oh yeah, it's just Coventry, isn't it? So, and then if Coventry in League One, you think, what, Coventry in League One? So I don't know. Maybe it's just like perspective in a sense. But yeah, so that means we've got yeah, I've got Sunderland to win the playoffs. And we've done the Championship playoffs. I had for well, actually, no, I didn't even say my Championship playoffs because I didn't have Forest. I had Sheffield United because yeah, I they like, just like Forest, they had a terrible start to the year. Like they were down in like 14th, 15th place, and they've put like a strong run together. Okay, they haven't had like the meteoric rise that Forest have, but after like sort of stagnating in the middle of the table, like after maybe 3 or 4 months, they sort of really started putting it together, and they're still one of the better sides in the like it left in the playoffs. So I would love to say Luton and Huddersfield will get to the playoff final. I just don't see it. Maybe that's me just thinking, oh, little club can't do it. I'd love to see it, but I don't think it will happen. But yeah, I think that'll pretty much be everything. It's a shorter episode because we're mainly focusing on the Champions League, the absolute capitulation by Manchester City, just things you love to see. But yeah, I don't know if you've got anything else to add, but I think that'd be everything.
Yep.
All right, awesome. Thank you for tuning in. I've got nothing else to say. We'll see you guys.
Lovely.